Hey, what's going on, guys? Phil here, and today I'm doing a little something different. I'm excited to have the one and only Lobo here. Lobo recently won a tournament playing Yu Jing, and I thought it'd be great to talk to him about his experience. Lobo, how we doing?
Doing really well, Phil. Good to see you.
Good to see you. So I think let's just dive in and start talking about the list you brought. I think in your classic Lobo ways, you brought one list, and Yu Jing, that's interesting.
Yeah, I wanted to do something different. I've been playing Assassins. Like I played Assassins in IGL, and I
Mhm.
played it at the Atlanta Satellite. But it's N5, and there's lots and lots of new toys and new ways to build lists. So I wanted to switch around. I played Torchlight at a previous tournament, and I wanted to give Vanilla Yu a try. Um, I will say I do have to give a shout out to Peak from the UK, as the bones of this list are his. I just tweaked it a little bit.
Sweet, yeah. And that Torchlight tournament, I'm guessing you won as well.
I did. I did. That one was in New Jersey at Rogue Games. So
Awesome.
yeah.
So yeah, let's go ahead and talk through the list, if you don't
Sure.
mind. Walk us through.
Sure. So for me, the number one thing in N5 is being able to put up a defense against getting alphaed. And in N5, you have to worry not only about fast striking pieces like the Go Pod or any other fast-moving gunfighter, um, but also against pitcher play, which is in a lot of cases more lethal. So to me, your options are camo, hidden deployment. You can null deploy, but given the speed of a lot of these models, that's hard to do. And of course, you're at the mercy of the table because you might not have the ability to actually hide. Um, so to me, camo is the way to go.
Mhm.
So to that end, if most of my important pieces are in camouflage. So you have the two Gudans, which are camouflage, and they allow you a little bit of forward defense. I know that a lot of people like the flamethrower version. I prefer the zapper version because I'd rather my opponent make two saves than one. And I know it doesn't kill them, but against a lot of models, a single heavy flamethrower hit, while it could kill them, probably won't. Whereas a
Mm.
single zapper hit will more than likely isolate them and stop their attack run. And that's what I need to do. So that's why I take the zapper profile.
Right. So like, unless you're playing against Morats, you hit them with this zap or attack run and finish. They're isolated. Can't do anything.
Exactly. Exactly.
Sweet.
Or there's like a couple models that might have immunity enhanced, but that's about all.
Mhm.
Um, and then continuing on that trend, Daoying Lieutenant, it's camouflage, so you can't just pitcher kill it. And those two lieutenant orders are really useful for hacking and also for powering the hack Tau down below.
Mhm.
Um, it's really good to like in every game, it was throw a pitcher and then use the lieutenant order. It's also a surprise attack when you
Mhm.
get to hack, so that's very powerful as well. Um, I'm just going to skip a model, the Dao Fei, which is the last camouflage model in Group One.
Mhm.
So this one, this is total peak. I would never have put the Dao Fei in the list because um, I never really liked the Dao Fei. I always thought the Hack Tao was better, and the big change from N4 to N5 is that they became specialists and also the AP Spitfire. So now it is really dangerous to tags with that AP Spitfire, especially there's a lot of tags that are heavy machine gun armed, and if you get within that 16-inch range band, you're still in good range for your AP Spitfire. They're on flats, -3 cover, -3 mimetism, so you can just, if they can't get guts to cover, it won't take very many orders to gun them down. Um, Multi-pistol +1 burst if they do get inside. Sorry, I read the wrong line. I apologize.
All good.
He has a Cobra pistol,
Right.
which is it's not bad. Um, if I could change one thing about the Dalfei, I would make him better in close combat
Right.
because he's in CC 19 but no skills. So against a even against just a normal line infantry, there's a good chance he just doesn't win the face to face.
Mhm.
So he's definitely a shoot, and he can do a lot of classifieds, which is the other advantage. He's heavy
Mhm.
infantry, he's veteran or elite, he has decharges, so it's a good all-around piece.
Yeah, a question about that piece. When I look at this list and compare it to other lists I know you to play in the past, I think the Daofei reminds me the most of the unknown stranger. And I wonder if you're finding, he really is that jack of all trades. And I was with the Cobra pistol, that's a damage 14 or PS6 um, template. Did you ever find yourself using that?
I honestly never used it.
Okay,
I just used the AP Spitfire the whole way.
gotcha.
Um, and I mean, I think he's comparable to the Unknown Ranger in that he has mimetism, he has an AP Spitfire, BS-13. Um, he can do a lot of class fights. The Unknown Ranger is better because he can actually fight in close combat.
Mhm.
So I would say if I could put the Unknown Ranger in this, I would. But the Dauphin also has infiltration and camouflage, which the Unknown Ranger
Mhm.
does not.
Sweet.
But he's overall still like I was pleasantly surprised um, with what he did. And although he's not like interestingly enough, he's not an Alpha Strike piece for me, or
Okay.
I have not done an Alpha Strike piece with him. By the way, just to head back, the Cobra pistol doesn't have a template. That's the boarding
Oh,
pistol.
it's the CC pistol. Yep.
Yeah.
Good call.
It,
Yep.
um, so next model, which is the one above it, which is, in my opinion, was like the MVP of the tournament, is the Dockaby. Just because he's my only hacking projection, um, and he combines a killer hacker with Spotlight. Now I know I have a regular hacker in the Dao Ying, but it's always nice to have a second source of Spotlight, and he kills enemy hackers, which is very important when I have a fair amount of remotes and heavy infantry in the list. Um, he has cyber mines. Honestly never used. I never put one down. I never was in a position where I needed to. He is the one with the multi-pistol plus one burst. So if he does get close, he can actually do a lot of damage with it. But
Mhm.
I feel like if somebody's getting that close to your Dokkaebi, probably you're in a worse position than you want to be. So
Fair.
primarily the entire tournament, he would move, throw a pitcher, and then in an ideal world, hit it and then move and hide and never move again until the next turn when he moved and threw another pitcher and did it over and over and over.
Mhm.
Sanbei, guided missile. Uh, I don't think a lot of people don't like guided missile. I certainly do. And I know that a lot of people have said it's nerfed in this edition. And I will agree that just the actual firing of the missile is worse in N5 than it is in N4. But since pitchers got so much better, I think the net balance is the guided missile. If it's weaker, it is infinitesimally weaker,
Mhm.
and it's still a very strong piece.
Maybe weaker if you're trying to guide it like an Asawira. But other than that, you're even more likely to spotlight. And as you said, the face to face, sure, if you lose it, they get to reset. But
Still really good.
yeah.
The Pangalang is there primarily for the Dokkaebi. Um, I try to put it where it's within zone of control of the Dokkaebi and a Long Ya, just so I can reload Panzerfaust and Flammen but really it's to reload the pitcher.
Mhm.
There's one game we'll get into where I did have to spend an order on the Dokkaebi to reload the pitcher in the middle of a turn because I missed two shots in a row. Um, but it's sort of invaluable to being able to keep throwing out that pitcher projection. Which I mean, the one thing I will say about CB, they do tend to have a good way of making people buy or use models they never would otherwise. I don't think in N3 or N4 I ever used a baggage bot ever. And in
Mhm.
N5 I have one in every single list
Right.
because the reload is that good.
Right. Everybody except for the vanilla combined players are painting up their baggage bots.
Yes, yes. Um, so the mech engineer in the Yao Zhao, it's an extra specialist. He's there just one sits by one long yaw, another one, and the other sits by the other long yaw just to increase survivability. Um, and the monk is actually, stealth and good CC with smoke. Can't really underestimate it. It's really powerful.
Six
Uh, and
points.
he and he's a cheap throwaway piece if I need to. Brings me over to group two. So the Beast Hunter, the Yu Jing Beast Hunter is one of the better ones in the game. That ballistics, the explosive CC with plus one burst and PS5 is really nasty in close combat. A Panzerfaust is a good ARO, especially when you have mimetism, and um, you know, Super jump is also, 6/6 movement with stealth. Hard to go wrong.
Absolutely.
The Hacktail, there's not, I mean, the only bad thing about the Hacktail is it doesn't have armor piercing. Apart from
Hmm.
that, you really can't complain about it.
Right.
NCO, heavy machine gun, mimetism -6, hidden deployment, has a template weapon in case you get close. Armor 5, BTS 6. I mean, you're paying for it. 60 points is not, well, 59 points is not cheap,
Hmm.
but I think you get what you pay for. The War Core for that free Flash Pulse, which came in handy quite a bit. And then the two Long Yaws just for ARO defense. And then the Wei Bing, um, mostly because I wanted a fast specialist. Because I find that in this list is sort of different. I know in N4, when I would make Yu Jing lists, I'd have a problem finding enough specialists. Like you take the Ninja Killer Hacker, and then a lot of the models you wanted to take in Yu Jing were not specialists. You wanted the Sujan, you wanted the Hak Tao, you wanted the Dao Fei, but it wasn't a specialist at the time. Major Luna, um, Yan Ho, all of these pieces were great pieces, but you were having to really force yourself to shove specialists in. And in this list, I have the Wei Bing, at least for now, the Warcore is one.
Hmm.
Um, the Mech Engineer, the Dokkaebi, and the Dao Ying. So five specialists is a decent mix.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's
And
funny to hear you say that because I know Robert Shepard, his content's really great. He likes to play Yu Jing, and he's always mentioned hard to get those specialists in.
oh, I did not see his video on Yu Jing, but that doesn't shock me at
Yeah.
all. And then the Wei Bing, you will see I use the Wei Bing more in this tournament than any other. Um, so it came in handy in pretty much every game.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, excited to get to it. So what do you say? Should we start going through your games?
Sure, sure. So the first game was Acquisition against Spalorama Winter Force.
Hmm.
And my opponent won the roll, and he took second turn to go hard, took
Hmm.
initiative, chose to go second. Um, which, while I agree, Acquisition is definitely a second turn favored mission,
Hmm.
I don't think it's so strongly second favored that um, it's worth doing that. I think if he took deployment, I probably would have gone first, and he would have gotten what he wanted anyway.
Hmm.
Um, Only because it's end of game scoring instead of end of round scoring, and that 16-inch deployment zone means I'm starting in your face, and I can spend 3 orders just trying to kill as much as I can before I have to worry about scoring.
Gotcha. So since it's end of game scoring, you really have all 3 rounds to totally annihilate your opponent if you're going first.
Correct.
Gotcha. Do you want to just touch on his list quickly?
Yeah, sure, sure. So he had a 4-man Fusilier Corps
Hmm.
with the missile launcher standing. He had 2 flash pulse bots also standing, one in group one and one in group two.
Yeah.
Then he had a Harris of the car, 2 Karhus and the Knight of Justice. The Karhu Feuerbach was standing, and the
Okay.
other two were kind of like hidden away. He had a Locust Hacker, which this is a new, I believe there's a new change to N5. I'm not the biggest Valorima player, but I was like 99% sure that an N4 Locusts, while they were Mim 6, were not camouflage.
You are correct. Yes.
So he put a camouflage marker in the middle of the board, and I looked at it, I'm like,
What the heck?
yeah, I don't know what that is. So, and it will be the first use of the sensor bot. Just because I didn't know what it was, I wanted to make sure I dealt with it.
Hmm.
We'll get to that in a second. Then got his missile bot because he does have 2 hackers, and the other flash block, as I said, the trauma dock and the pal bot. He put one trauma dock by the Carho engineer, and he put the pal bot by the last 3 models, which is a Harris. When I went to Atlanta and to the satellite there, I've seen this a similar Harris to this. I think it's a really good one, double Varg Shona because I'll have super jump.
Hmm.
Um, and there's sort of this is more of a jack of all trades list. I know there's one with like a multi marksman rifle you can take, which gives it a little more firepower. This one I know he has the disco baller, so he can obscure lines of fire instead of having to take fights. But the one thing I would change is I would try to put a gun in this.
Right.
But it has super. I mean, it's got sensor, it's got a specialist, it has a close combat specialist with Shona, Wild Parrot. They both have flamethrowers, so I think it's a really good Harris.
Yeah, that is sweet.
So if you want to look at the map, um,
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Sure. So he set up first, and there's this black building in the upper right-hand corner of the table. If you want to mark that.
Right here.
Um, yep. So that's where you had the Fusilier core, and the missile launcher was standing on the tower.
Hmm.
And then the cardboard building immediately to the left of it, in the back with the stairs. Yep, that's he has got his guided missile bot prone, his trauma dock prone, and he had the Karhu Feuerbach standing. And then the two black pieces right in front of it. One looks like a little tower, and the other one is like a square. Yep, right there. He had one flash pulse sitting in the tower, and the Karhu engineer and the Knight of Justice behind it.
Hmm.
Um, if you move over to the left, there's another like tower connected. Yep, that's it. Connected to the blue sign.
Oh, yep, I see you.
That one. That's the other flash spot. And then the piece you just pointed to before, the one with the thing sticking up. Yep, right
Yep.
there. He had his Harris prone. One of them was like directly shown as directly behind it, and the two Vargs were prone at the base of the building. And then the piece on the side, the cardboard colored piece, closer, no, in the midfield.
You got it.
Yep. Yep. So on the staircase was the camouflage marker.
Aggressive.
Yeah.
Cool.
So when I set up, I put a starting from the left and going to the right,
Hmm.
um, up against the building where his locust
Yep.
is. That's where the Beast Hunter was.
Okay.
Because the 16-inch deployment allows me to get it almost out of midfield.
Right.
The Wei Bing was deployed right there. Yep, the Wei Bing is right there. In that little, if you scroll over to the right to the box, yeah, there, forward,
Hmm.
perfect. There's a long yaw like sitting there, covering an angle with his mine up by the console.
Hmm.
Um, and then I had another Gudan sitting right next to it. Yep, right there. The Haktau was in hidden deployment behind the next box, like right there. Yep. The Camille was prone behind that building, right where your thing is.
Big fat cameo.
Yep.
Pangolin.
Um, yes. Sorry. You know what? That's yeah, it's Pangalang. I said Camille. I've been so he's playing assassins. Um, and then the Dao Ying was in the back left corner, prone on that rooftop.
Hmm.
Like yeah, right there. I had my guided missile bot on the other colored building on the right side. Yeah, the Dao Fei was um, not all the way. It was yeah, it was all the way forward. On the right-hand side, there's that bridge connecting the two buildings. It
Yep.
was yeah, like on the ground behind the second building, like yeah,
Gotcha.
around there. Yeah, and then there was another Gudan in there, and the mine,
Hmm.
and the monk was also on that side. And then my
Gotcha.
reserve drop was the Dokkaebi, and the Dokkaebi was placed like to the right of where the Dao Fei was. Sorry, to the right of where the Hak Tao was,
Gotcha. So
hidden behind the building.
right around here.
A little bit over the right, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
So he stripped one order from both groups. And so the first thing I did is I wanted to use my group two orders. So I rolled the Wei Bing out and censored his locust.
Hmm.
And then this is actually something I didn't realize at first he took the hacker profile. He said it was a locust because had I known it was a hacker profile, I would have then just trinityed him with the Dokkaebi.
Hmm.
But instead, and that's my fault, not his, I just then spent the Beast Hunter's irregular order, jumped into melee with him, and killed him that way.
Hmm.
Which ended up working out better anyway later, but we'll see. The second thing I did was I had to kill the flash pulse over on the right because he was going to flash my Dokkaebi if I came out to shoot a pitcher. So the Dao Fei revealed himself, gunned down the flash pulse.
Nice.
Um, then the Dokkaebi went out, shot a pitcher. I eyeballed it. I think I did a pretty good job. I did yeah, all the way down in that like not all the way in the corner, but around there ish.
Right.
I had to go far enough. I didn't want the Knight of Justice hacker in the repeater, but
Mm.
I wanted to catch the Karhu and the Fusilier missile launcher. And I managed, I think it was like 9 inches away from the Knight of Justice. So it was just in time.
Well done.
Um, and then so reveal the Dao Ying, surprise spotlight the Karhu, blow the Karhu up, then spotlight the Fusilier missile launcher, blow the missile launcher up.
A
Um,
question about that.
sure.
So now with Spotlight being burst 2, I know I have seen some people getting greedy. and splitting their spotlight. And I mean, when you're doing a surprise attack, maybe you are even more tempted to split. What are your thoughts on that?
I think with surprise attack it's worth it, but um I would I'd have to do the math to see what's better, but it feels better rolling two dice versus one. And I hate wasting orders.
Hmm.
But I think with the surprise attack, you're whip 15, they're or sorry, whip 14, they're whip 10. You could get lucky. Odds are you beat one of them, right?
Right.
And then you could get lucky and beat both. You could get unlucky and beat neither. So I think with surprise attack, you might split without. I don't think I don't usually.
So you'd rather just play it safe and you're using both dice on one guy.
Yeah, especially
Cool.
because it's not an automatic result. Because
Right.
I have had
Hit the
times you,
save.
you hit the guy once and he rolls a four or something, and now, um, so I'd rather get two dice on one.
Gotcha. So we've
So
killed the Locust and we've missiled the Karhu and the Fusilier.
and gun down the flash
Flash
pulse
pulse.
spot
Good
with
call.
the Doubtfire. Yeah. I moved my monk up a little bit on the right, and the Dao Fei. I believe the Dao Fei pushed the button as well on
Okay.
that console. And then the Dao Fei came back and went back into camo. The Dao Ying went into camo. And that was pretty much my first. I think, and the Wei Bing came back and like hid in that like alcove on the left. Yeah, like right, went prone there.
Nice. That
Um,
actually raises a question I had about your list. No flash pulse bots. Did you find that between the Wei Bing and the Pangolin, you could create the defensive hacking network you needed?
to be honest, no one came into my DZ, so it never came up.
Okay,
And this game is the only one where I needed to create a defensive hacking work, and it comes into play like right now, and it's the Wei Bing that does it.
cool.
Um, So he starts off, he uses an order to activate the Knight of Justice to like that duo because his leader was the Carhu engineer. So
Oh,
even though
okay.
the Carhu Feuerbach died, they're still in a two-person Harris.
Mhm,
So the engineer swings around to my left, his right around that box, and the Knight
mhm,
of Justice swings around the opposite direction
mhm,
and guns down the pitcher. He then attempts to uh, discover the Delphi with the Karhu and is unsuccessful. Um, so then he decides to move up. Decides to like pause that and switch over to the Harris. So
mhm.
he spends an order and moves forward. Oh, a minor point. My QAZ creature is over there on the left by that console,
Mhm.
and his QAZ creature was over on my right and up on that building. We actually missed this. So when the Dalfei shot the flash pulse bot, he had it like directly behind that console. I couldn't see it from where I was.
Ah,
And he forgot about it. So he should have actually been able to like attack the Dalfei, or I would have had to do it in a different order. Because once I saw it, when the monk moves up to that corner, he kills the QAZ creature.
gotcha.
And then similarly, activates the link. Shona is the lead. She moves up. She kills the QAZ creature, but is flashed by my Warcore, who's like hanging out on my right. I forgot he was there. But
Like here or something.
yeah, exactly. And then he tries to move the Vargs forward, and so this is a interesting rules interaction. So as he's moving, the Vargs don't have stealth, even though Shona does. So the Beast Hunter, which is on those stairs, is dodging to try and get to the top of the stairs.
Dodging up this
Um,
way.
well, yeah, he was actually already on the second set of stairs, so he's dodging up the other
Oh,
ones at the
gotcha.
top. Yeah. So he gets to a point where he can't quite see um, the two guys, Shona and the Varg on the ground, but the Varg on the rooftop, we can see each other. So he activates the link and he jumps, and he moves Shona forward into zone of control of the repeater. And I was saying, I don't know if you want to do that because I'll spotlight her. And he says she has stealth. I'm like, okay, but I'll declare spotlight on her, and then I'm heavy flamethrowering your Varg. So
Right.
if the Varg just moves and Shona just moves, then my spotlight fails. But if the Varg does anything else, Shona has to idle, and idle no longer has the movement label, so she would break stealth.
Hmm.
Um, he even though I explained that he misunderstood it, but I let him take it back. Like I let him move Shona back because when we went through the whole thing, when he finally understood what I was saying, he's like, "Oh, I wouldn't have done that." And I was like, "No problem." So he pulled Shona back out of range of the Wei Bing. Um, I got lucky. He heavy flamethrowed me. I heavy flamethrowed him. The Varg burned to death. Beast Hunter rolled a one and tanked the save.
Hmm.
And I passed my courage check. So now he's stuck because he doesn't really want to go forward because where he moved up now, he can't go forward because the Wei Bing's there, and the Beast Hunter's now in a position where if he tries to go like to his left, the Beast Hunter can see them go that way.
Hmm.
He stands up his missile bot and tries to take a shot at the Beast Hunter. I dodge because we're like I knew we were close to 32 inches. It turned out we were like 34. So I pass the dodge. I stay standing. He spends another order on the Clipper bot, goes prone, shoots me again. I dodge again. Again, I think he just I think I missed the dodge. He missed the shot. And so now he's really stuck. Spends one last order on the Shona duo now and pulls the Varg back behind the building where the Beast Hunter is,
Hmm.
and Shona is still up under that bridge, but
Gotcha.
just out of Wei Bing range.
Okay.
And his last couple orders in the other group, he moves the Karhu Engineer duo and the Knight of Justice over around to his left, my right. He tries another Discover, this time with the Knight of Justice against the Dao Fei. I again elect to do nothing, um, and he fails his whip check. He comes around. Now, my monk is sitting sort of on that building on the corner. Yeah, like over down a little bit to your right,
Hmm.
like right there, but against the wall. When he
Yeah.
moves around, he moves and makes a whip check to try and score a classified and fails, but that breaks stealth, which allows me to dodge. And I dodge to the corner of the building where I can see the Knight of Justice and the Karhu to my
Mm.
right. My right.
Okay.
He only had one order left at that point, so he decided to risk it. He moved the Knight of Justice into melee with the monk, and he moved the Karhu back and around and dodged, and he passed the dodge with both. And that ended his turn.
What was the ARO from the monk?
I chain rifled.
Gotcha.
Um,
Sweet.
so my turn two is where it really starts to go downhill for him. The Hawktao comes out of hidden deployment, and he takes a diagonal shot to the right where he can see where he just put that Carhu engineer because he pulled him back to a point where I could still see him. And I gun down the Carhu engineer. And then the Hawktao moves forward and he shoots Shona and kills Shona, and then he shoots the other Varg. And at this point, I'm in the middle of the um, objective room.
Gotcha.
So I spend like it takes me maybe like four orders tops, and I now killed the Varg, the Karhu, and the and Shona.
Hmm.
So his only real offensive piece left at this point is the Knight of Justice, who's in melee. Um, and I throw a pitcher with the Dokkaebi near him and surprise Oblivion him and isolate him, at which point I'm just going to ignore him. Um, I move the mech engineer up a little bit on the left because
Hmm.
I'm thinking about pushing buttons. Um, the Beast Hunter tries to kill the other Flashbot but fails. Um, the Dao Fei moves out to try and because my plan was I'm going to roll it with the Dao Fei. I got a bunch of orders, and I'm going to try and chop up what he's got left. And I take a fight against the other Flashpot, and he hits me and stuns me. So
Of course.
I can't do anything with the Dao Fei. I do actually score net undermine with the Dao Fei, because even though it's not an attack, so I'm rolling at a
Mm.
-3 whip, but I could still score it. And I end up in camouflage, basically against the same building that I just started on, just on the other side,
Gotcha.
like right there. Yeah. Um,
So at this point, would you say the game is pretty solidly in your hands? He doesn't really
yeah,
have any.
yeah. I don't. I mean, at this point, he could get lucky, um, but like the Knight of Justice is in melee with the monk and Oblivion. So,
Hmm.
and he's within zone of control of a repeater.
Right.
Um, and it kind of plays out from his turn two. He like stands up his Fusilier Lieutenant. It takes him two orders, but he kills the repeater. The Knight of Justice attempts to CC the monk, but the monk beats him. Because the downside for the Knight of Justice is, well, he does have a good close combat. He's martial arts two, and the
Mm.
monk is martial arts three, so I do get the special die.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, he doesn't really have any pieces left. He tries to roll out with like a Fusilier, and he gets in gunfights with the Dalfei, but um, it ends up either I hit him once, and he tanks the save, and then he misses sometimes. He hits me, I spang the saves.
Hmm.
And then on my turn three, the Hack Tau kills the Flash Pulse bot. The Wei Bing pushes the button on the left and sits on it. The Hack Tau sits on the console in the middle. A Gudan moves and like dodges, so it's in contact with the console on the right. And the Dao Fei kills every other model in his army. The only thing he has left at the end is the Knight of Justice.
Mm.
Um, which I mean, he tries on his turn three. He takes his one order, tries to melee the monk, and the monk beats him again, and this time he takes a wound. But and that was it. So it was 10-0.
10-0. That's a pretty dominant win. MVPs for you?
Um, in this game, honestly, the Beast Hunter.
Right.
Oh, I also forgot to mention that the Beast Hunter. I mean, he was lucky because
Mm.
when I attacked the Locust does have a boarding pistol.
Mm.
So when I moved into melee with him, he just templated me, and I tanked that save too.
That's
So the
big.
game could have gone very differently if that Beast Hunter had died to the boarding pistol, because then Shona and the Vargs are probably let loose. But I don't know that it would have changed a lot. He still hadn't. He never really engaged the Long Yaz. There was a Gudan over there, so. Um, but yeah,
Awesome.
overall good
Sound.
game and super super fun opponent.
Hey, that's always important. Great to hear. So I am running out of time here. I am going to invite you back for a part two. How does that sound?
Yeah, sure, no worries.
Fantastic. All right. Thanks for your patience there, Lobo. Just a little no Zoom premium cutting me out of the meeting. But here we are with part two. Last we left off, you had a pretty dominant 10-0 victory in acquisition. So here we are in round two. Tell us what's up.
So round two, I played another gentleman who I've met several times before at tournaments, but I never had the pleasure of playing. Um, he's out in like uh, Western Pennsylvania, but he also often travels down to DC. He was playing Vanilla Combined, as you can see here. Um, it was a little unusual of a list because I remember what caught me off guard was we rolled for initiative, and he said, "I'm looking for a 14." I said, "Oh, okay, it's a mentor." And then he put down, when he was deploying, he put down a MIM 6 camo marker, the Silhouette 6.
Right.
And then he put it prone. Because at first I thought, oh, it's a Sphinx. Wait, you have an anathematic and it's not your lieutenant. So that's the first time I've ever seen that before. Um, but to go back slightly, it is Cutthroat. Um, and also a brief mention of the previous game, which I forgot. We are playing 16.2 ITS, so we're using the tactical support options.
Mm,
However, my opponent got the cancel opponent's tactical support option, so it played no role in the game.
mm,
And Cutthroat doesn't have them, so it will play no role in this game either.
cool.
Um,
Yeah, so yeah,
so
this is a weird little top three models here. Yeah, let's go through his list.
yeah, so the Carotid MSV3 heavy machine gun, which I think is I don't like personally. I know a lot of people like it. I think if you're going to take a Carotid, you take the Hacker at this point. The Anathematic is awesome, but it is very expensive. And then the Mentor. I think the Mentor Lieutenant is great. The only downside is the one Swick tax.
Right.
Um,
And you're losing that order on the anathematic.
yes. But at the same time, you do have counterintelligence, so you're gaining an order back. Um, so 6 of one, half dozen the other, but the one Swick might hurt.
Mhm.
Um, then, your usual party pack of Vanilla Combined, Ardrone, Ikadron, Bit and Kiss, um, double Dodarazi, another Ardrone, a Gaki. I'm saving the other two models for later.
Mhm.
Warcore and Liberto. So most of the other stuff is fairly standard Vanilla Combined stuff. The unusual ones, in my opinion, were Ida and the Specular Killer. So the Specular Killer if you guys haven't seen it, has gotten a big glow up in the latest update. It has a template again. It's cheaper. It got, is it Martial Arts 4?
I think it was 2 and got bumped up to 3
Okay, it's definitely better martial arts. That bonus die is huge, especially with the monofilament whip.
for sure.
Uh, monofilament weapon, sorry, that's my Shadowrun showing. Um, and I don't think it had the silenced pistol, but I could be wrong on that one. But if for nothing else, the template, the improved martial arts alone is worth taking it.
Oh, absolutely. And I guess one thing to point out in this list is no missile bot,
Yes,
and
yes,
that group 2 might not be getting too much done.
yeah. The group, yeah. And we talked about it. His other list, which he had played in round one, which I think he also won like very handily,
Mhm.
was a much more traditional mentor Norkius overdrawn style list.
Right. Yeah,
So
and 5.
yeah. I asked why he played this. He said he felt it was more defensive because he has the Liberto as a mine layer, Ida Swanson's a mine layer, um, and he had the deployable repeater for bit. So I think he felt more confident keeping his lieutenant alive. And this
Mhm.
is cut. So Cutthroat's not like I normally played mission. Just to go over it real fast, you get 3 for killing more lieutenants, 3 for killing more army points, just like decapitation. But then you have a Keops model, which you get 1 point for keeping alive. And if you kill more units with your Keops than your opponent kills with his Keops, you get 3 more points, which is a very big deal.
Yeah,
He elected to make the Caronted his Keops.
cool. I
And
will go to the table. Oh,
I
what was your
picked
chaos?
I picked my missile bot as my Keops.
Interesting.
Also, by the way, the Keops gives you a tactical awareness and dodge +3.
Oh, very nice. I can imagine when you hear that you're making the missile bot your Keops, you think, oh boy, here it comes.
Yeah, I mean, I he was surprised, but like it's a free guided missile every turn with the tactical aware. So,
Fantastic. All right, here we are.
so I'm going to apologize because a lot of the action in turn one takes place in the part of the map you can't see on this picture.
Fair.
Uh, so I did not. I only took the one picture of the map. I was not expecting to do like a something like this, but we'll go from here. He won the lieutenant role, chose to go first. Um, I deployed on this side. For him, the building in the upper left-hand corner, he had his mentor and the decoy for the mentor prone up there. The the decoy obviously does nothing in this mission because we the lieutenants are obvious, but he had it blocking the stairs.
Right.
So it's just there to get in the way. He had a Gaki at the bottom of the stairs, and he had um, Ida Swanson's mine on the roof as well as the Liberto's mine on the roof. So it is very defensive. It's a camo lieutenant surrounded by mines, and you can't get up there unless you can super jump.
Mhm.
Um, his Liberto is over there. His War Core was over there. The Icadron, everything was over in that corner. And so was the Karanta. The Karanta was sitting like on the ground, slightly to the right in that like little nook.
And
Um,
question, so Ada is in the same group as the lieutenant, so you can't tell which is the lieutenant and which is the mine, but the Liberto mine's not fooling you.
well, remember, the mines weren't there to fool you because I know exactly which
I
camo
see.
marker is his lieutenant. They're
Gotcha.
just there to like if someone goes on the roof, it's eating a viral mine and a shock mine.
Right. Beast Hunter jumps up there, he's getting mined. Gotcha.
Exactly. And then sort of moving across. So most of his army is sitting there, pretty
Hmm.
much. His Dotarazi are also a little forward. Yeah, like around there and
Hmm.
one there and one to the right.
Hmm.
Um, his Anathematic, well, sorry, Bit and Kiss are behind so those twin buildings. They're in the back over there.
Yep.
His Anathematic is prone, by the bridge. He has an R drone by the bridge. And on his right side, there's really nothing over there except an R drone and an Imatron.
Okay.
You'll notice there's no Imatron in his list. But we'll get
Uh,
back to that in a little bit.
okay.
Um, so for me, I split up. I put so in the left-hand corner where it's also cut off by the yeah around there.
Hmm.
I've got a long yaw with a mine blocking the doorway that you can see in the lower left,
Hmm.
and the mech engineer's there, and then the Gudon is in that. the arrow you just drew initially, where the
Yep.
starting point is, that nook, that's where one of the Gudans is.
Nice.
Um, and then the Dalfei is the building on my left, on the porch in the corner.
Hmm.
Is the Dalfei's there? The Warcore is on that little bridge there. The guided missile bot is smack dab in the middle of the roof in the middle of my building. Yeah, right there. The Pangalang is behind it on the ground. The Dockaby is sort of sitting to the left of the Pangalang.
Hmm.
And then on the right, in part of the picture you can't see. So I have a Longya, the Wei Bing, um, a Gudan, the Beast Hunter, the Monk, and then in the very corner is my lieutenant.
Hmm.
And then he went and he dropped his Speculo Killer, which again I was not really expecting because I haven't seen it used in N5 yet,
Right.
at the 16-inch line with a straight shot towards my lieutenant.
Boom. Right here, more or less.
Yeah, pretty
And
much.
so when you saw the Carotid MSV3, did that change how you deployed your Lanyas?
Yeah, I took more shallow angles, um, but to a certain extent, they're there to delay, and they have engineers near them,
Hmm.
and they're I mean, they could die to a single burst from the heavy machine gun, but it's not super likely.
Yeah.
So,
And what was your reserve?
um, my reserve was the Dockaby, but I just went through my whole deployment.
Okay.
Um,
All
so
right.
at any rate, and when I saw the speculo, I was like, you know what? I should have put the lieutenant on the roof with the guided missile, but
Mm.
that's my bad. Um, by the way, in game one, we both rolled for speedball, or both we paid for speedball, but I don't think either one of us used it. In this game, he paid for speedball. He dropped one speedball with a Vita Pack next to my lieutenant,
Okay.
and the other one, because if you pick up the speedball, it breaks marker state.
Hmm.
So he calculated that he'd be able to move, 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 and then move, pick up the speedball on that third order. So he
Cool.
was putting it in ahead of his specular. It was a really good play. It was really good.
Hmm.
And then he put the other one by his Carotid, hoping for a switch on, but it ended up being a Vita Pack, which is still pretty good. Um, and those were his speed rolls. So he starts off. I strip one order out of group one. He moves the Speculo, move, move. I discover him with the Wei Bing and the Yao Zhao, which is
Hmm.
over there. I delay with the Gudan, the Beast Hunter, and the Long Ya, which can see him on the way in. I pass the Discover. He just moves, moves. He
Hmm.
then moves into the room where the Dao Ying is, and a monk. And so I know you can't see, but basically, it's a room. The monk is in the room. There's an AP mine in the room, and the Dao Ying is behind this like wall.
Hmm.
Um, and when he moves into the room, I get to discover again with the Wei Bing and the Yao Zhao from where he started. The monk dodges because I want to be able to get to a position where I can see him at the end of his second movement.
Hmm.
And he just moves again. I pass my discover again. So now he's revealed. He couldn't quite he can't quite touch the speedball,
Hmm.
but he has a direct line of fire to my lieutenant, and he's past the wall, so I don't have cover.
Okay.
So he hems and haws for a minute because he's like, if he wants to move and get the speedball, then he can't discover shoot. And
Right.
I think he thought it was an AP. He thought it was a shock mine. I don't know. I don't know if speculos are immune to shock, but he wanted to discover shoot, so he did not pick up the speedball.
Hmm.
So the AP mine goes off at that point. The monk templates him with a chain rifle, and he's got a 70% chance of discovering my Dao Ying. And if I do nothing, and then he's shooting twice with the boarding shotgun on 15s.
Hmm.
So I decide, okay, well, I'll shotgun him back. So I'm one die on an 18. He's two dice on 15s. He rolls like a 6 and a 20. I roll a 5, so he hits me. I make the armor save. And then he tanks both the chain rifle and the AP mine.
Wow.
Um, he then spends another order, moves the melee with the Dao Ying. I boarding shock him again because it's my best roll. Um, he easily beats me, and I fail the save, and the Dao Ying dies. Uh,
Monofilament.
yeah, because monofilament.
Hmm.
The monk was able to template him again at the start of his move, and he fails to save that time, but because he picked up the speedball on the way to the lieutenant, it just triggers the medkit and or the repairs
Ride it
and
back. Yeah.
right back and he's done. And then because he took a hit, he fails guts, goes prone. Now he's behind the wall. No one can see him. He spends another order and goes back into impersonation state.
Mm,
So really good. Um, and knowing that his lieutenant is in camo, surrounded by a billion things, I wasn't really thinking I was going to be able to kill more lieutenants. So not a great start for the game for me. Um, he then he didn't have a lot of orders left, right? He's got 10 orders. He loses one for stripping, and then move, discover shoot, move melee, recamo. He spent so six. He's only got 4 orders left,
yeah.
which is the good thing. Um, and he uses them. He moves both Dotarazi up.
Hmm. And that's on
Um,
his right side, your left.
yeah, like exactly right around there. And then he uses Bit and Kiss to like put repeaters out to the either side of the objective room.
Gotcha. So somewhere
Yeah,
around here. Yeah.
exactly, defensively. And then his one regular order in group two, he moves his R drone up the board on his left side.
Hmm.
So my turn, I'm like, okay, I need to kill stuff with a guided missile. I need to kill the speculo. So let's start with the monk. I can't use the impetuous order because that'll take him away from the
Hmm.
speculo. I use the irregular order, move around. He does nothing. I discover. Fortunately, because I'm in the same position he was when he discovered my lieutenant, and impersonation is only -3 now instead of -6. I'm discovering on a 14. I discover him. I spend another order, discover again. He elects to template me. I template him back. I pass my save. He fails his. And
Mm.
then I spend another order and I move and coup de grace him just to make sure his regeneration doesn't kick in.
Hmm.
Um, the Dokkaebi then rolls out up the stairs and onto that little patio
Hmm.
and fires a repeater down that down the angle where his Dotarazi are.
This way.
Uh, yeah, around there. A little
Okay.
bit to the left, but
Gotcha.
yeah, like down there. Yeah, he's on that porch on the
Gotcha.
building to the
I
left. Yeah,
I see.
exactly. Like there. Perfect. Um, and then spotlight from the Dokkaebi on one of them. Tactical aware blows up one. Spotlight, another order. So two Dotarazi die, which number one, they're really dangerous in N5. I don't want them running around my deployment zone. And it's now 2 kills for my Keops. Um, and given that his Keops is only moving 4/4, and I don't have a lot of stuff like hanging around for him to shoot, I'm feeling good about getting those 3 points,
Hmm.
which at least offsets the loss of lieutenant.
Hmm.
Then with group two, I use the Beast Hunter. The Beast Hunter moves, he jumps, and then jumps into melee with the R drone, which he had moved up.
Hmm.
He tries to flash pulse me, and then I kill him with the close combat. And then I jump towards the Imatron, and I heavy flamethrower it. And at that point, he had to look up whether or not the Imatron had armor, which is when he realized he didn't have an Imatron in his list.
Aha.
Um, so I was able to take that order back, obviously, and I cut a sharper angle towards the middle of the board and jump, and then jump. I could see I was able to use like 2 or 3 orders and get to a position where I jumped to be able to hit his second R drone and bit. So I'm like all the way on his side of the table by those twin buildings, but the one on
Hmm.
my right, yeah.
Yeah.
And lay down the heavy flamethrower template. He flashes me with the R drone and dodges with bit. He fails the dodge with bit. Both of them fail armor saves. So they
Beautiful.
both go down. I fail my armor save and get stunned. I only have 1 order left anyway. It's actually the war core order, so I have to spend a command token and I convert it and I go into camouflage, like on the porch back there.
Sweet.
Um, and of course the Dokkaebi, by the way, rolled back. He's now hiding again.
Yeah. I mean, that's a brutal crackback.
Yeah. So the big problem for him is that now because his group two is it's not very functional because
Yeah.
it's all irregular orders. He only has group one, and he's lost the Speculo Killer. He's lost an R drone. He's lost Bit and Kiss, and he's lost two Darazi. So he's down to 5 orders to do anything with it, plus the tack aware on the Caronted. There's really no targets for the Caronted, so um, he doesn't want to take on the Beast Hunter with the Anathematic at that range because he'll get heavy flamethrowered.
Hmm.
Um, So he chooses to use his Ichadron. But by the time he gets the Ichadron around, it's 4 orders for him to be able to get the Ichadron to a position where he can discover shoot.
Hmm.
And at that point, I could have dodged, but I figured stripping another order out of him is better than me losing the Beast Hunter. And so I just template him with a heavy flamethrower. He double templates me back. Both of us die. So now he's down to 4 orders in his regular group, and that's his second turn.
Hmm.
My turn two. By the way, I picked my Dalfei is now the lieutenant. I had to pick that.
Nice.
Because he's prone in the back and he's not doing anything. The Dokkaebi rolls out. So now my plan is I'm going to throw a repeater further down the board,
Hmm.
like around there, and I'm going to be able to catch the I'm going to be able to catch Ida, the Carontid, and the Warcore. And I don't really care about killing the Warcore, except it's another model killed with
Killed
a
by
guided
your missile
missile.
bot. Yeah.
Yeah, in case I need to. Here's where the dice slightly go against me because I move and then I shoot the repeater and I miss, and then I shoot the repeater and I miss, and then I move back and reload, and then I move up and shoot it again. The third time it goes down. Um, and then I try to spotlight Ida, and I think he wins the first face to face, and then the second one I hit him, but he tanks the save, and then like finally on the third one I spotlight him, and then the missile attack aware blows up Ida. And that's my turn two. Really, about the only thing I do is I kill Ida, and I take the Wei Bing, and I spend all of Group Two orders moving the Wei Bing to my side of the objective room, prone behind that like white wall.
Right here.
Yep,
And is that in preparation to go
that's
sensor?
exactly right. Yep, I was setting
Gotcha.
it up for a run over there.
Cool.
Um, his turn three, he's not really able to do much. He activates the Liberto. The Liberto blows up the pitcher that I threw down with the Dokkaebi.
Hmm.
The Anathematic moves off. I think honestly, just moves off to his left. I'm not sure what he was doing with it. He only spent 1 order on it.
Hmm.
Um, and the Carontid moved out a little to be able to see down the field.
Hmm. And is
Um,
that on this side of the building or the other?
the other side, like
Gotcha.
right
So
where
he's
the X
kind of
is.
looking this way.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Um, so my turn three. So at this point, if we end the game, I've killed more stuff. That's three. I've killed more stuff with the Keops. That's six. My Keops is alive. That's seven. And he's killed more lieutenants. That's three. And his Keops alive is four. 7 to 4.
Gotcha.
And the in my head, for some reason, I was thinking if I can kill his lieutenant, I'll win 10 to 1. It'll be a 6 point swing. Um, so I reveal the Haktao, which is to the left of where the Dalfei is. He rolls out slightly,
Hmm.
about there, yeah, ish, on that porch.
Yep.
Um, he kills the Warcore because the Warcore had moved up to be able to see the Dokkaebi.
Hmm.
And then the Dokkaebi moves out, throws another uh, repeater. Yep. Then the Wei Bing move, and sensor, and he gets shot by the Caronted.
Hmm.
And then I censor the Mentor, and
Mm.
then it takes me a bunch of orders, but I eventually kill the Mentor with a guided missile.
Gotcha. So that is a move, and then a like move and
Move,
sacrifice
sensor.
yourself to
Exactly.
sensor. Cool.
Exactly. Because it's the sensors on a 19 or less, so
Yes. Yeah.
I was willing to take the 5% chance it fails.
Right. And even if the Karanted kills it, it's
Yep,
not going to kill more points than your missile bot.
exactly. Um, so and that ends the game. We reported it as 10-1, and then I realized halfway through I was like, wait, no, it's not 10-1. We've killed the same number of
Yeah.
lieutenants,
7-1.
7-1. And then actually it's kind of funny. My opponent messaged me this morning. He's like, hey, it actually should be 9-3 because if you kill the same number of lieutenants, it's 2 points each.
Ah,
So, but regardless, 7-1, 9-3. That's how the game ended. Again, super
nice.
nice opponent. A lot of fun game. It looked. I forgot Cutthroat had reinforced tactical link, which means you don't go and lost a lieutenant.
Mm,
I thought things were going to be significantly worse than they were when he killed the Dao Ying on like the third order of the game.
right.
Uh,
Yeah, it's a funky list. I mean, it's definitely playing to the vanilla combined power pieces.
Hmm.
Uh, uh, Maybe if you could sneak in a little bit more of a potent group too, because as soon as the attrition started, it really sounds like it hamstrung him.
Yeah, we talked about it afterwards. He agreed. He said he's like, you know what, I'll take going forward, I'll take a Kronted or I'll take an Anathematic, but never both of them. Because it just eats up too many points.
Hmm. Sweet. All right. So going into round three, you've got two major victories.
Hmm.
All
Um,
right.
so yeah, then I played Lyons, who was actually helping to TO the tournament. I played him actually round two of the tournament in New Jersey when I was playing Torchlight. Um, so I had an idea of what his list was going to bring.
He was also playing Oban in that tournament.
He was also playing Oban, yes.
Gotcha.
He changed it up a little bit. It was not exactly the same list, but a lot of the bones were the same.
Hmm.
Um, so he has a Kaisatsu Core, Hacker Paramedic, Kenpai Chain of Command, and Oyama.
Hmm.
Then three hidden deployment markers. So Killer Hacker, and Oniwaban. And then another Harris of Miyama's Musashi and two Tankos.
Very cool.
Yeah, we had when I played him in New Jersey, we were playing Mind Wipe, and he used that Harris to just walk across the table and blow up my server. Because with the disco ballers, there's not really a lot you can do to stop them.
Mm, yeah,
And even though Musashi died on the order he got into contact with the server, burst two explosive CC weapons,
they hurt.
PS4, it blows up the server real fast.
Hmm.
And then group two is three Rukin heavy rocket launchers,
Love it.
Mem 6 with decoy, plus a mine layer, a lot of chem markers in
Oh,
his.
I forgot they had decoy.
Yeah, that's new for N5. And then the Pangalang and the Flashbot. Honestly, the Pangalang, I think it's just a cheap order. I guess he can reload the disco ballers, but I don't know how often that happens. Because I feel like the Tankos and Musashi are like once you start them out of your DZ, they're never going to end up near the Pangalang again.
Right, they got a one-way ticket.
Yeah, and I don't know how often I don't know how often you're like AROing with the disco baller, but
Right. One kind of interesting thing with Miyamoto Musashi, what is he, whip 15? And that flash pulse will be burst 2, right?
yeah, yeah, he
Kind of
can.
cool.
Yeah, I mean, burst two flash balls, burst two blitzens. But I think I mean, at least given the way he wanted to use them in the game in New Jersey, I was assuming it was mostly going to be use the disco ballers to get up the table and then deliver all the damage up
Hmm.
close with the close combat. Um,
Really cool list. I love the Ryuk, and I've always loved them with the decoy now. That's really something.
yeah,
And I feel like in the active turn, in a pinch, you can use them also with the surprise attack, min -6, burst 2,
and X Visor. So even if
and
they're
X
in bad
visor.
range,
Yeah, I think they are BS 11, but it's a pretty lethal gun.
12, 12.
12. Wow. Okay, there you go. And what do you think about this? I don't know if with my style, I'd be able to do this, but three ta orders off the table. Uh, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, it depends how you do it. Like my assassins list has four orders
Hmm.
off the table.
Right.
But I mean, one thing we talked about, so he won the initiative and took deployment because he didn't want to go first
Mm,
because he felt better counterpunching with that,
makes
which I can
sense.
understand, because if he goes first, he doesn't have counterintelligence, which means that group one has five orders in it.
Hmm.
And so, and the group two is not, unless you're putting up stuff so that the Rukin can see it, um, it's not really doing anything in turn one either. So I think he's absolutely right. If he goes first, I don't think he can really do a lot, um, unless he starts with all three of those guys out of hidden deployment,
Hmm.
which is giving away a lot of their strength.
Absolutely. Yeah, with that, I guess let's take a look at the table.
Yep. So this one I actually took a picture in process, which makes identifying things easier.
Yes.
Uh, so the camo marker that's prone, and yep, that's my Dao Ying. You can see the monk. The impersonation marker next to the left of the monk is actually Gudan. I was using impersonation markers for min -0, and then actual
Gotcha.
camouflage markers for min -3.
Hmm.
Next to the Gudon is the Wei Bing. Um, the green silhouette 3 is a Long Ya,
Hmm.
over on the left. The camo marker, if you move to the left of the smoke, like right there, that's the Beast Hunter prone. This is like after turn. This is in the middle of turn 1. So
Hmm.
um, you can see if you move over to the right, you've got that's the War Core. To the left of it is the chem marker that is it's the mine from the Long Ya, which is sitting on the roof right there. You can see it's
Yep.
yep,
Boom.
silhouette. The Yao Zhao is sitting on the bridge to its right. The Pangalang lower left, prone. I don't have a Dockaby, so I'm using a Unidron as the
Looks like
Dockaby.
one to me.
Uh, the camel marker yeah, right up there, that is the Dalfei.
Gotcha.
The Hak Tao is hidden. You see another impersonation marker, which is another Gudon,
Hmm.
and then that's my HVT on
Your
the right.
Brawl in Beantown, Boston,
Yeah,
HVT.
exactly. And the Hak Tao is actually in hidden deployment to the right of the Dockaby by that blue sign.
Gotcha.
Yeah, right
Somewhere
around
around
there.
here.
Yep, using that tiny little like thing that sticks out as cover.
Gotcha.
Um, for him, you can see where all his camo markers are representing. He's got 3 green, 3 orange, and 3 blue, representing
Beautiful.
the 3 Ryukin. His flash pulse bot is all the way to the left, like you can, yeah, right there, that little sliver. Um, the building with the green, just the green marker on it on the right.
Yep.
So behind that, arranged in a like around the edge, is the 2 Blitzen, so his 2 Tanko and his Musashi.
Hmm.
Um, None of which, actually, one of which was close enough to get hit with a guided missile. We'll get back to that in a minute.
Hmm.
Oyama and the Kaisatsu are over on the left behind that big building. Yeah. Not the one with the blue on it, the one to the right.
Gotcha.
There. Like hiding back there is his 4-man.
Sweet.
Um, so on my turn, I went first. I activated the Dakabi. He rolled out to the right, shot a pitcher right at the building with the Harris, and then used the guided missile and blew up both Tankos. I actually spotlit Musashi and then fired a missile at him, which caught one of the Tankos. He failed his dodge and died. And then when he went to roll for Musashi, he just rolled 1 die and rolled a 4 and passed. Because I forgot the Musashi is also immunity arm. So
Mm.
makes Musashi a bad guided missile target. Um, but I did then spotlight the other Tanko and blow it up just because I don't want disco balls
Yeah.
blocking my line of fire to Musashi. Um, oh, speaking of which, tactical support options. In this game, there's 2. So I got one where it got to give one of my guys sensor, and I got one which I got to make one of my guys a specialist, and he got one which got to make one of his guys a specialist, and one that canceled one of mine. Uh, Sensibly, he canceled my sensor
Yep.
because he has 3 hidden deployment and like a bunch of camo. He elected to make Musashi a specialist for the mission, and I, sorry, the Haktau is not in hidden deployment. The Haktau is in MIM 6 state
Gotcha.
because I wanted to make him a specialist because now he's a 59-point specialist. I'd have to look it up. Someone messaged me and said that's not legal, that they have to be in model state. You can't put it in marker state, but I'd have to double check that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Regardless, it did not matter in this game, so that's the good news. Um, so on my turn 1,
Sorry, what mission are we playing again?
this is last launch. Yes, I
Last
should.
launch. Gotcha.
Um, so my plan was, we have 3 classifieds. I'm not sure what his were. He didn't score them. I had HVT follow-up and sabotage, and the one where you have to spotlight a or forward observe an HVT.
Okay.
So twice. So my plan was, I put the Dalfei. My Dalfei was my reserve because I wanted to see where he put his HVT, and he put his HVT on the other side of that building next to the console where the Dalfei was. So you see where the
Yeah.
Dalfei? Yep.
Right here.
Yep. So his build right, yeah, right there is the
Other
HVT.
side.
Yep.
Yeah.
So my plan was, okay, cool. I can activate the Dalfei, push the button, move up to the side of the building, blow it up with sabotage, then spend another order and score for HVT follow up. So it was going to be like that. To me is a really good spot for the Dalfei. Um, But before I did all that, because I know he's playing Oban, he's going to have hidden deployment models. And doing a quick count, I know he's missing three models.
Hmm.
I used the monk as the impetuous, and I threw a smoke where you can see it. I
Yep.
then used the Wei Bing to move out and censor by that console, which revealed a Ninja Killer hacker. I then activated the Dokkaebi and Trinity the Ninja hacker to death, and then moved the Wei Bing back out of harm. The Beast Hunter moved up and like went prone over there.
Hmm.
Um,
Over
and
around
I'm
here somewhere.
yeah, exactly. And I think that's pretty much between guided missiling the two Tankos, Trinitying the Ninja Killer hacker. I don't think I took that took up a lot of orders, and I didn't want to reveal the Dalfei at the time, so that's pretty much all I did on my first turn.
Cool.
Um, so on his turn, he activated Musashi, and it was mostly a Musashi run. He started to move up. He was having problems because that War Core is actually a pain for him.
Hmm.
Um, and the first thing he does, he moves out, he blows up the repeater that I threw, and then he starts to move up, and he does get flashed by that War Core.
Hmm.
Um, so the only thing I would say I would change for what he did is he gets flashed on his way to the console. So he's like, when he's right by the console is
It's
where he
coming
gets
this way.
flashed. Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
And instead of retreating with him, he pushes forward and stops behind that building on the right side of the board, all the way to the right, the
Oh
tan.
wow.
Yeah, like back there.
Okay.
I mean, maybe he thought because I hadn't moved the Dalfei, maybe he thought the Dalfei was a mine, but I don't know. I would have triggered if he went past it. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure what he was thinking. But and then he moved. Um, oh, he dropped two speed balls. He also got two Vitapaks. Um, Musashi picked up one, and Oyama picked up another. And he moved with Group Two. He moved one of his orange
Hmm.
Rukin over, and he shot my. Oh, because I had revealed my long yaw to shoot at Musashi.
Hmm. This one.
Yeah, exactly. I actually
Okay.
did a wound to him, which his Vitapack healed off.
Hmm.
But then he brought over the Ryukin, and the Ryukin got into a long range gunfight with the long yaw. I was dodging. I'm not shooting him back.
Yeah.
But he hit me, and I took a wound, and I fell unconscious and struck prone.
Gotcha.
And that was pretty much it for turn one.
Hmm.
Um, so my turn two, I thought to myself, well, he had one hidden deployment model by one console. Um, what are the odds the other two that he's missing are by the other two consoles?
Yeah.
So I spent order on the way Bing, moved to like yep, moved over there. Sensor, it's an Oniwaban. Surprise spotlight with the Dao Ying. Missile, dead Oniwaban, or unconscious Oniwaban, actually.
Hmm.
That comes up later. Then I moved the monk and threw smoke which would block the gap between the objective room and that block to the right of it. So like,
Hmm.
yep, right there. Which that way I could move my Wei Bing across, and the Wei Bing would end on prone in that like little corner exactly.
Right in there. Yeah.
Yep. And then sensor, and then there's another Ninja Killer hacker by the other console. Now the thing
Ugh.
is, um, it was very close to the Dao Fei. Um, so you know what? I apologize. I did this slightly out of order. I did not censor that ninja yet.
Okay.
I used my Dalfei. He surprise shot and killed Musashi. Then I moved with the Dalfei and did sabotage. Then I did HVT follow up.
Okay.
Then I censored. And now the ninja's there. He's only like an inch away from the Dalfei.
The now revealed Delphi. Okay.
Exactly. And I'm like, and again, I did not realize he was a hacker. This is the second time I didn't realize he was a hacker. One in game one, one in this game. Because if I knew he was a hacker, I would have just trinityed him to death. But I'm like, okay, I don't want to shoot him because if I shoot him and he dodges, he'll dodge into close combat with the Dalfei, and he's way better than the Dalfei is. Um, so let me spotlight him. So I spotlight him first. And here's the weird part. I spotlight, he reset.
Hmm.
So that's the other reason I
So
was
you still think
pretty
he's not a
sure.
hacker? Yeah.
Exactly, because if he had trinited me, I'd be like, oh wait, okay, no, but he reset, so I had no idea he wasn't a hacker. I successfully spotlight him, and then I shoot him with the Haktao. And I just take a chance. The Haktao is to the because he's on the right of the console. The Haktao could get him out of cover,
Mhm.
and so he's +3 for range, +3 for targeted, -6 for mimetism. I'm 4 on 14s. He's 1 on like a 12 or something like that. I'll take the risk that he doesn't dodge. And fortunately, I hit him and put him down.
Nice.
Um, and I think the last thing I do in that turn is just grab a ticket with the Dalfei. And
Lobo,
yeah,
I am running that same time problem. Are you good to do a quick part three right after
yeah,
this?
yeah, sure, no problem.
Excellent.
All right.
One moment. All right, welcome back to part three, the final part of Lobo's Yu Jing tournament. And I believe we last left off, the Wei Bing had come over here. It had censored the actually a hacker, ninja killer hacker, and the Dao Fei had put it down with his Spitfire.
Close. It was the Hacktail put it down with his heavy machine gun, but same thing.
Excuse me. Yeah,
Same thing. Yeah. The Dalfei had killed Musashi.
gotcha.
Um, so turning it over to his turn two, he's kind of in a bad way. He's got in group two a Pangalang, a Robio, just sorry, the Flash Pulse bot, and 3 Raiden.
Mhm.
Um, and then in group one, he's got a Kempetai, a Kaisatsu hacker, a Kaisatsu paramedic, and Oyama, and not really a lot of other options.
It's really
As far as
Oyama and Ryukin, pretty much.
yes, as far as specialists, I've killed 3 specialists because he made Musashi a specialist, and I killed 2 ninja hackers, so I'm ahead in specialist kills. Um, sorry, the last thing of note is that the monk is in the doorway of the objective room, which will come up.
Gotcha.
Um, as I mentioned before, when I got a missile, the Oniwaban in the middle of the objective room, he only went unconscious. So he activated Oyama and is dragging. He left the Kempetai behind. He just brought up the Kaisatsu hacker and the Kaisatsu paramedic. He moved up once. He threw a crazy koala from the Kaisatsu hacker over by the console on my left.
Hmm.
Yeah, about there. And then he moved Oyama into the room, and I thought I had put the monk in such a position where if he moved Oyama into the room, I could catch both Oyama and the Oniwaban inside one template,
Hmm.
but I could not, unfortunately.
Gotcha.
Sorry. But in any event, I template him, he templates me, I fail my save, he tanks his save, and the monk is unconscious.
Hmm.
I think probably what I should have done is once I realized I could not catch the Oniwaban in the template, I probably should have changed my arrow to like dodge or something, but it doesn't matter.
Hmm.
He then moved Oyama into the room where he was able to catch the Wei Bing, got into a gunfight with the Wei Bing, killed the Wei Bing, um, and then he moved up to see an angle on the Hawk Tau, which I thought was very ambitious of him because uh he doesn't have any mimetism, so he's shooting at minus 9 against the Octal with the contender. Even with the +3 range, I guess makes it -6.
Hmm.
Um, but then I reveal the Gudon and zapper him,
Hmm.
and he elects to uh try and dodge. He fails the dodge and gets isolated and immobilized.
Hmm.
Um, at that point, he reforms the Kaisatsu as a duo. He shoots the Oniwaban with a med kit, but fails the whip check, and the Oniwaban dies.
Hmm.
He then puts the hacker in contact with the console and throws a crazy koala sort of like to the right of the objective room, like by the box. Yeah. And so, um, and that pretty much ends his turn. He does spend some orders in group two trying to shoot the Haktao with the Raiden, or
Hmm.
the Ryukin rather. Um, but he's hitting on 6s. Um, Actually, the one in orange is over 32, and therefore he's sitting on uh threes, and the one in green is within 32, he's sitting on sixes. Either way, I'm just dodging on 14s,
Hmm.
so he's unable to put the hawk tie down. Which leaves my turn three, where all I want to do, I've killed more specialists. I just want to get somebody off the board. So the Dao Fei already has his ticket. But my smoke, so the reason why I'm sort of lamenting having the monk dead is if the monk had lived, it's super easy. Just throw smoke and the Dao Fei walks into the room and goes. But
Hmm.
um, instead, I use my lieutenant orders on the Hawk Tao. And the Hawk Tao starts, he moves up slightly, takes a gunfight against the Ryukin on my right.
Where's the Hacktown now?
Still by that blue billboard on the right.
Gotcha. So we're still hanging out here.
Exactly. Um, so he just takes the gunfight against the green camo marker, and I'm four dice on eights. He's two dice on sixes because I did slide up within 32.
Hmm.
Because I can see him while I'm prone, but I can't see the other one, so I'm
Hmm.
able to fight him one at a time.
He's one dice, right?
Sorry, one, yeah, one
Okay.
die and a six.
Okay.
He elects to shoot me instead of dodge. I probably would have dodged if I were him, just to try
Hmm.
and slow me down. But he shoots. I rolled like a one. He doesn't hit. He takes a one, goes down. I then move over to my left, take a gunfight against the other one, put that one down.
Hmm.
Um, The Dao Fei then, with no one really in his way, is able to move, shoot the hacker who's standing by the console. Um, Sorry, one quick thing first. I take the irregular order on the war core, shove the war core up 8 inches, and trigger the koala. The war core dies, but I don't
Gotcha.
care. Um, yeah, so the Dao Fei just guns down the hacker, then he guns down the paramedic who's also in the objective room. Um, and then I think I actually kill Oyama too. Because I have the orders, and then I just walk and push the button and eject the
Out to space
Dalfei
with the
just
Delphi.
right. And at that point, it's his turn three. He's in retreat. All he has is the Kempetai, the Flashbot, and one Ryukin. So and the Pangalang. So he can't really do anything. So we called the game there. Uh, I did two of my classifieds. I never had a chance to spotlight his HVT, and by moving the Dalfei to get the Dalfei off the board, I didn't have anyone within zone of control of his HVT. So I had nine, 9-0, I believe was the final score.
Very nice. So three majors for a Yu Jing victory.
Yeah, I was really happy with the way the list performed. I was a little nervous because I don't have MSV,
Hmm.
but I didn't run anything. I mean, I suppose if I would run into something that has MSV and mimetism, it's a problem.
Hmm.
But just fighting mimetism pieces with the Haktao, you just rely on weight of dice and
Both being on bad
probably higher,
numbers.
yeah, and probably just a higher ballistic skill overall. He is BS 14.
Hmm. Now, after this tournament, are you still cooking with Yu Jing, or is there something else on the horizon?
Um, the next tournament I might still do Yu Jing. Um, I think the bandit changes make Corregidor sort of interesting, but only offensively. I haven't figured out a way to to make something that lives past turn one.
Hmm.
You go first, it's really powerful. If you don't go first, it's kind of a problem. Um, but just a shout out to a dangerous frog who's been doing a lot of the legwork on that. He's been playing Corregidor now. Um, so and some of the stuff he's been doing is fun. The bandits are pretty broken at this point, I think.
Interesting.
Well, it's the deployable repeater on the edge of your DZ
Hmm.
without any recourse. And with
Right.
infiltration reroll, it's a 75% chance per bandit, and you can take two of them.
Mm, pretty nasty.
Yeah, and then but I don't know if I'm gonna play that in a tournament. I'm gonna play that for like some fun lists.
Hmm.
Um, but as far as in real life, I have Eugene figures, I have O12 figures, so maybe I'll do another Eugene, maybe I'll do a Torchlight um, for the next tournament.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, I mean, you've been making these awesome assassin lists, Yu Jing, Torchlight. Really cool to see you mixing it up, figuring out N5 for the rest of us who can't get quite as many games in, don't have the tactical mind that you do. So, thanks so much for sharing your experience, and hope to catch you in the next one.
Sure. And I just want to say, give a shout out. I do not create lists in a vacuum. I talk to a lot of players online all around the world, and uh, you know, what is it? Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. So some
Hmm.
of the lists, I do not claim 100% like credibility for my lists at all. A lot of bits and pieces I take from other people. And I'd recommend other people do that too. Not necessarily net list, but definitely like there's no reason to reinvent the wheel. If you find someone running the bare bones of a list you like, then steal it and make it your own and change it around. I mean, if you have the list I'm using, I know Peak's list, just to give you an example of the difference. He runs like the tactical awareness Wei Bing,
Hmm.
um, but he runs the Celestial Guard and three Guangxi, uh,
Hmm.
no Gudan, and he runs no guided missile, and he runs the Zensha Hacker, um, and no Dockaby either. So there's a number of differences between his list and mine, but Dao Fei, Dao Ying, Hack Tao, Long Ya, Beast Hunter. There's a bunch
Hmm.
of like things that are the same. Um, so I just don't want to. I'm not comfortable saying like, oh yeah, I just made all these lists by myself, and it's
Of
definitely like a
course.
collaborative effort from everybody else out there in the community.
Awesome. And if people are into it, if they check out IGL looking for game, they can get games in against you as well.
Yeah. During the day, yeah, during sometimes at night, weekends, I'm available.
Awesome. Thanks, Lobo.
All right, take it easy, Phil.
Have a good one.